Hold on. Wait, do you have a bottle of vodka with you? Or is it?
I
Welcome
can do
back.
this. I can do this.
Welcome back to Friend Crush. I'm your host, Amber Killer. This is my podcast where I talk about stuff and things, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. Today, we have a very special guest, Girl Confessions episode with quote unquote Sandy. That's not her real name for protection, privacy purposes. Make sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, SoundCloud at Amber Killer and at friend.crush for the Instagram meme page. Send me your thoughts, feelings, etc. Sandy is a very good friend of mine. Don't want to reveal too much context, but say hi to the audience.
Hello, hello, hello.
We just
I'm gonna
finished.
air. We're gonna air out all my crazy past stories, so we
Yeah.
need protection.
Would you say that like now you have grown out of your like toxic girl era, or would you say that you're just like dormant because you're not dating?
Yeah, actually, I think about it a lot. If I have mature or if I'm just not dating for me to be crazy. Like there's a chance that I can full on go back to like the batshit crazy girlfriend if
Right?
I start dating. But we'll see. I'll go on. I'll come on for another episode when I do.
Yeah, when one of us eventually starts dating, we'll have more tea to spill. Like I think the most bizarre thing is people assuming that I give dating advice, but I feel like I give how to be hot and have fun without men advice. Like if you want actual dating advice, don't come here.
No, not today, especially.
There are if you want to get an insight on being toxic and delusional, then today's episode is for you. Borderline misandry, we represent. But yeah, actual dating advice, I wouldn't say that this is the place. But what do you think was like the most toxic relationship that you've been in, or which man drove you to the peak of your insanity?
My dad.
Patient
Just
zero.
kidding. But like, yes, my dad. And then I feel like my first boyfriend probably.
Mm. Because you have like
Um,
FBI. Sandy has FBI level tracking and research skills. If you ever need to know the history of your crush, of your anyone, let me know and I'll pass you on to Sandy for her services. She could track anyone.
my first relationship didn't go down well. I was crazy. I tracked him down everywhere, don't even ask. But after that, all my other relationships has been normal
Hmm.
because the guy is normal. So if I
Hmm.
want to start acting crazy, they would be like very calm and mature and handled it quite well. So
Mm.
there's no chance for me to go batshit crazy. And then I broke up with them.
Yeah. The drama. I feel like the problem that Sandy and I both have when it comes to our dating attitude is that we want attention, but like we also don't want men to come near us.
No, no.
No. Yeah, and unfortunately, like me personally, all the men that I've encountered have been so risless. It's like actually tragic.
No, yes. And like some men's are just not worth going crazy for. You know what I mean? Like if they're
Right?
so riskless and I just lose interest and then I won't even go FBI on them. So
Yeah, like I don't
it's
even
really
have
not me.
anyone that's worth stalking. I can't remember the last time I like went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out like some guy's history. Like I feel like the last guy I hooked up with, I didn't even look him up on social media. That's how little I cared about him.
The less we know, the better.
Yeah, and even what I already knew, I was like, oh. Maybe I should just be single forever. Yeah, I think also like Sandy and I, we do dance classes together. I've been doing pole like since the pandemic, and I feel like it's had a really big, I've mentioned before in previous episodes, like it's such a radical act, I feel, for women to dance. Even if you're like not good at it, it just helps you to like connect to your body. It kind of like indirectly affects your confidence, improves your posture. And also like if I if a guy's like being mean to me, I just imagine him trying to do a K-pop dance and then I no longer care about his opinions. So I feel like I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this in terms of your dance journey?
No, I agree. I'm very bad at dancing, but inspired by Amber, I started also doing pole dancing. And I feel like something to occupy myself and then also get confidence from, and get
Mm,
confidence from not anyone else's, like anyone else's comments, but more
mm,
just from like being accomplished, being
yes.
able to,
Like learn a new move, even if you like don't fully learn it. It's like you tried.
yeah, it's really fucking hard.
Yeah,
Just being there is enough. So
exactly. We showed up. Like
we
today's
showed up.
class,
That was good.
the teacher didn't even put today's class on like full speed, the song, because we couldn't dance to it full speed. So it was
Zero
like,
point 0.5 sweet.
yeah, 0.9, 0.8 speed. But I think like, yeah, being able to be in a room and just like connect to your body, it's like mostly with girls or pretty much all with girls. You don't need like male validation, but you're kind of like dancing in a way that is, I don't know, interests men, but like you're not even thinking about men. I think it's hard to like separate women's sexuality and how it's portrayed completely from the male gaze. So it's like, well, would I feel hot like this if I wasn't conditioned a certain way to think that this was hot, but also like, who gives a fuck? And I think it's
Yeah.
like a good outlet for any excess energy that maybe you don't fully use if like you work in an office or you're not like super active. And I feel like Sandy and I both were pretty averse to physical activity in general. So the fact that we're out here, like, I mean, I don't want to speak for Sandy, but me personally, like, I didn't grow up identifying with like physical activity. I was very much like, I don't want to go anywhere or do anything. I failed PE.
Yeah.
Um, but like as an adult, like if you had told me when I was like 14 that I would grow up and be like going to yoga and pole dancing, she would have laughed. She wouldn't have believed you, but here we are.
It's true because I think growing up in Asia, like I feel like being more like feminine and
Mm,
being more like overtly a little bit more sexual, like all the body rolls and all that is sort of not how we grew up, like telling, like it's not how we were told to behave. And
mm,
then I feel like it's sort of empowering to do those things without a without the purpose of trying to get anyone else's attention, but just to
yeah.
make yourself feel good. I think that was like sort of why I really like doing pole dancing.
Yes, yes. And also
Yeah,
like you're like getting in touch with your femininity and you're like learning a new
yeah,
skill and it's also a workout and you're like having fun and then a
yeah,
guy
yeah.
hits you up and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you're like, "Well, why would I hang out with you?" And your crusty ass when I could literally do anything else. It's actually like to me, it's really radical the difference it will make to your life because I like orient my time around going to class sometimes, it's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
like I commit to going. Before it was like so hard for me to commit to like going to Pilates or like going to yoga because I'd just be like, I can just go another time. It's not that important. But like I'm like committed to going. So if someone wants to
Yeah.
make a plan that conflicts with a class, I'll be like, we can meet before or after. Um, so yeah, it'll really shit like and before when I was dating and guys would be like, are you free this day? I'm like, well, sorry, I'm busy. We can meet after my class.
No, we always have better plans than to meet up with men.
Exactly. Period.
No, it's also really cool to hear, especially family. I feel like friends, like that's in my circle, they sort of get it, but it's really cool to hear family saying that, oh, doing pole dancing is like a really hard workout. Like they don't really look at it as like a thing that they, you know,
Look
they
down on.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's really cool that they can kind of recognize this activity without making it weird.
Yeah. Like even one of my friends' moms in Perth, like when I told her I was learning pole dance, she was like, oh my God, like she's like pretty conservative. So she was like a bit disappointed in me at the time. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to do it anyway. And I like really care about her opinion because she's like my second mom. And then when I saw her recently, when I was back in Perth, she was like, you know what? Like, because like she actually follows me on Instagram and my mom doesn't have Instagram. So she was like, you know what? After seeing like you post videos of you dancing, I really changed my opinion on pole dancing because like the way that you're doing it is like completely different to the way that I imagined it or like the connotations that I had for it. And it's actually like graceful and like nice to look at. And I was like, we slayed.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so this is basically partly an ad or encouragement for everyone to start dancing, okay? If you're sad. Also like endorphin release is crazy. Like when you can get that kind of endorphin release without like the without feeling like you need a boy to like love bomb you. It's really great. Like nothing that men
I feel like
says is interesting anymore to me.
I feel like we're at the stage where we just expect so little from a guy.
Yeah.
Like we have our life pretty set. If a man doesn't disappoint us, that's already like, oh, interesting. That's new.
Literally. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't provide any like dating encouragement here, but if you are looking to enter your hot and single era, hot, single, and unhinged,
Yeah.
what else is happening in your life at the moment, Sandy? Or how do you feel like your life journey has, what have you learnt in your, because Sandy is a few years younger than me, so I feel like there's insights or parallels that she can provide for listeners.
Oh my God, that's such a big question. Uh, should we talk about our weather journal?
Yeah.
I feel like that's one, it's an
So,
inside joke that we share.
so there was this period where Sandy, for like vague context, works in the creative industry and she met someone like on set who was hot for once. But it started off like with him kind of coming onto you, right?
No, actually, the weather report is like, it's been a few years since I liked a boy
Mm.
because I think moving to a completely new city also changed my like dating life a lot. It's like so different than how I was dating in the last city because of the cultural
Mm.
difference.
True.
It's like a complete 360s. And then since I moved to this new city, it's been a while since I like a boy. And then until I finally do like a boy, we actually met very briefly through work. And the whole whole like story about our weather report is because I feel like because I finally met someone that am kind of interested in this new city. And it's been so long, I just created like a whole delusional image for him.
Even though he doesn't live in the same city as you.
No, like we don't know anything about him,
Yeah.
barely know his name. I don't even really know how to pronounce his name. If you ask me, I cannot tell you what's the proper way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
um, we don't know anything about him. We He was really hot,
Mm.
and that's it. And then
Yeah.
it started like a crush.
It started with
Uh,
Sophia telling us in the group chat like how hot she thought this guy was and how she was like, okay, we need to go to like the city that he lives in, figure out like what his deal is, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I'm so for this. And every like other week, Sophia would be like, okay, you know what? He's not hot anymore. She would like send screenshots of his latest Instagram posts and be like, ew, he's not hot. And
but
then
you know what it is? That whole thing was because I created a whole image of him that's actually not true, and everything that he does go against my imagination. So I would get the ick. Like I imagine him to be this whole other person that he's really not, because we don't talk to him, we don't try to like get to know him. And then every time he does something, it's like, wait, that's not who I thought you are. But I actually completely made that person up. So then I would keep updating the group chat and be like, wait, he's not hot, ew, that's gross. Because that's not how I imagined him to be.
Yeah,
So yeah.
basically, you love bombed yourself
Yeah.
with the fantasy that you created. And at first I was like kind of confused because I hadn't known Sandy long enough to know that this was like a pattern. So at first I was like really invested when she was like, he's really hot, like let's go to the city that he lives in. I was like, okay, let's go. And then she'd be like, you know what? He's not hot. We're over him. I'd be like, okay, yeah, fuck that guy. And then a week later, I was like, you know what? I think he's hot again. And I was like, what? And then another week passes. It's like, you know what? He's not hot. And I was like, okay, I can see that this is just like part of the process. So I started recording like dates in the group chat with like an update from Sandy. She would either provide like a screenshot or a link because he's like a semi public facing figure. And then finally, we made it to the city that he lives in by chance. And before this, you'd had like brief kind of like Instagram story reply interactions.
Yeah. Essentially, I was like, you know what? I only want to see him again. That's like the goal of my entire life. Like, I don't care about anything else. Even though I know nothing about him, like nothing, zero. Like, I don't know anything about him.
Mm.
We finally met up by chance, or not really. And then he turned out to be a huge disappointment because in real life, he's even more like he's even
Underwhelming.
further away. Yeah, he's even further away from my imagination. I literally made up a whole backstory for him. Uh,
Yeah, because Sandy and I both were in the city that he lives in at the same time for different reasons. And like literally the day that she was going to meet up with him, or like about to maybe meet up with him, our conversation literally was like, this is like the only thing that I'm living for right now. Like, I just want to meet up with him and get a drink. And then that night we were getting like a play by play. And it was like, he sucks. This is so awkward. Can you guys come to the karaoke bar? We're like, what the fuck?
It was really bad.
And also because
Yeah.
he had like a like clouted up, I guess. I don't know, like hyped public image. You would assume that he would like, I don't know, have game or something. It's like sometimes you do just want to be rizzed at as a girl. Is that so much to ask? Like,
I have to say though, just like he's not, he's like, uh, I just have to say that like from meeting a decent amount of like famous people or people that has clout, they suck way more than you would ever expect. That's true, no?
mm, yeah, the tea, the real tea.
No, it's like you meet someone that on before knowing them, they're like so, their image is probably so perfect, and then you meet them and you're just like, oh, they're just a man.
Oh yeah, especially for dudes.
Yeah.
Or like one of them slides into your DMs and you're like, what the fuck?
Their Instagram page could look like really cool and whatnot. And then when you meet them, you're just like, wait, what?
Looks can be so
Um,
deceiving.
yeah.
How many creative directors have you dated?
Actually, zero.
Oh, so it was a director.
I had a director face.
Oh, when you were dating directors.
Yes.
Wait, did I have a
Actually, my director face is sort of semi the reason why I'm like doing what I do today. That sounds crazy.
okay.
But
Motivated
every
by spite.
time, yeah, every time, because I was like really young, and then I had a director's face, and then I would like date these creative dudes that's like semi-established in the industry, and they would just like sort of talk to me in a way that's like, oh, you don't even know how to do this, or like, oh, I'm doing this really big thing today, blah blah blah, and then I would just like really not want to be looked down upon
Mm,
by these men.
mm,
And so I worked really hard to start to do a lot more too much vodka.
mm,
No, and then because of like how they were talking to me in a way that's like so dismissive, I took it as a motivation. And I'm doing what I do now a lot,
mm,
not fully because of them, but like I was definitely like, you know what, I'm gonna be better than them.
mm-hmm.
And I am better than them now. So
Period. Yeah.
so
Like
yeah.
every breakup is an opportunity for a glow up, in my opinion. Sometimes I wish I could date someone just so I could get my heart broken so I can have another glow up period. Nothing is more motivating than trying to spite someone who thought that they could fuck you over or thought that they could get away with
Facts.
disrespecting you. Because
Facts.
I've definitely been in situations with dudes. Like, I didn't like properly, actually, wait, I did. Yeah, I did kind of have a director phase too, like director slash creative director phase. I would say that, no, I wouldn't give them that much credit in terms of whether they were like nice or respectful in the end. But yeah, I realized like up close and personal with these dudes, it's like, well, I can do what you can do, but you can't do what I can do, which is 8 bars of body rolls.
And dropping on the floor on your
Yeah,
knees.
like drop squat. So
Wait, Amber, I have a question.
mhm.
Have you ever liked someone because of like a work admiration?
Mm, I guess like even if I don't know, it's so hard because like I can't even remember the last time I like properly liked a boy. I feel like I overestimate their abilities, similar to like creating a fantasy and projecting it I'm like, oh, well, he says he's this, so like he must therefore be like these other things that I associate, these other traits I associate with a job like that.
Yeah, because I thought about my if I think back to my director's phase, it was because
Mm,
I was really young and I was very ambitious about my career, like very,
mm,
very, very like maybe half of the time I don't even really like the guy. It's just I
mm,
like that they are doing what I aspire to do.
mm.
Um
Great point.
so I want to know if like other people actually feel the same
Okay,
or is this
yeah,
just
I
me?
feel like that's such a huge thing for like when you're younger and you're starting your career, like you can, at least for me, I think about like certain guys that I dated who were maybe like more established than me at the time. And when I look back, I think I subconsciously thought like, okay, if they like me, then like this somehow validates what I'm doing. Or like if I'm associated with them, maybe they can like, maybe I don't like them that much, but they're showing interest in me. So like by dating them, they can like teach me something or it can like somehow help me, only to find out that there's nothing that they know that I couldn't fucking learn myself. In fact, they're showing me how I shouldn't behave or shouldn't be working. Still a lesson nonetheless. Um, but and also like the ways that I thought that they would be able to help me, it was kind of like an avoidant, like subconsciously I was avoiding taking responsibility for the fact that I had to like do it myself, basically. Like there actually wasn't a shortcut. And unfortunately, like as a woman, a lot of the times it's like, well, you do kind of have to work like 10 times harder just to prove yourself at that level. But once you actually take responsibility for it and you do it, you will surpass the men who tried to patronize you tenfold. They will become so irrelevant to you that you won't even consider them a peer.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like I dated a lot of dudes just for the sake of they're doing something cool that
Yeah, and
I want to do.
yes, like a lot of the times it's like you don't even like them, but you kind of want to be like them, or you think that association with them will somehow like elevate your status. And I've had a lot of
Right.
girls also message me about like similar things because they, especially when you're being like mistreated by these dudes, it's like, well, they're not even nice to me. You're not even helping me. So like, why am I still like crying? Why am I crying and throwing up every day over this nonsense? You know, I've got shit to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what the solution is because it's like I'm not really interested in dating guys in my industry anymore, but I don't know how to meet men outside of my industry.
Yeah, it's true. And okay, here's my controversial thought
Hmm.
is that I am not that interested in learning about what other people do. No. Okay, let me rephrase it. Here's my controversial thought about that. Is that
Hmm.
like I say that I want to meet people outside of my industry, but when I do actually meet them, it's not that it's like there's nothing in common that I can talk to them about, or like I'm
Hmm.
actually not that interested in what they have to say about what they do or like their everyday life. So I ended up just like meeting people in my very close circle anyway.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there's like sort of no, maybe the problem is me.
It looks like we are the common denominators. Have
We
you
are the problems.
I'm okay with that though, because I'm having a good time regardless. I go to bed at night peacefully, not worrying about someone cheating on me. Life's good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
have you been on dating apps recently, or you were on them for a bit, right?
I've been on a lot of dating apps. Actually I met my last boyfriend through dating apps. Um,
But that was a different city.
that was a different city. is so different. The city that I was in was a Western country. Do people even say that? Yeah, it's a Western country. And then
Mm,
now I'm in Asia. I feel
mm.
like the dating culture is so different. Like
What
when
even
I was
is the
overseas,
dating culture in Shanghai? I don't even know. I've barely even dated since I've been here. It's been almost 2 years.
no, it's a
Is
crazy experience. Like so here's my thing. When I went on dates overseas, I know that it's a date. Like it feels like a
mm,
date. We're
mm-hmm,
meeting up for the purpose of dating. And then
mm-hmm,
when I'm in Shanghai, if I meet up with someone, it's literally like we're just chatting for hours. And
mm-hmm.
it's like not even it's chatting about the stuff that I don't care about. Circle back to my previous point. Like I don't really care about what they have to say. I don't care about what they have to say. And I yeah, and then it doesn't feel like a date because there's like no flirtiness in real
Mm,
life
mm-hmm,
whatsoever. And it's just the driest conversation about weather or like what they do. And then after the date you always end up feeling like, okay, so he's not that interested in me. And then he
mm,
would always like hit you up again and show a lot of interest when it's online. And then you meet
mm.
them in person and then it's like
Dry.
dry. Yeah, so that's my I don't know, like the Asian dating experience is
So those were
that's
guys that
my
you met on dating apps, or have you been asked out after meeting someone in person? And have they all been
no,
Chinese? Have they all been Chinese dudes, or it's been a mix of like foreigner or like Asians that have lived overseas but like live in Shanghai?
I don't know, like there's something about I lived overseas for many years. I've dated a lot. Like, I've dated all kinds, like people from everywhere.
Mm.
I've something about like people like expats in China that's just a little bit off-putting. So no, I have not. It's not offensive to say no.
Mm.
Don't cancel me. I mean,
Expat men, specifically.
expat men in China is very off-putting. So no, I've only been dating like I've been trying to date with local people.
Mm.
Wait, can I share my dating app experience? I feel like I've
Please.
told you.
Wait, the one with the voice memo?
Um,
The voice memo?
no, oh my God, that's another one.
That one I was like, we need to share that, but then the other one, feel free to share.
The first one first. First
Yeah.
one is a local guy. Okay, so okay, that's another thing. On dating app overseas, it's very much like you don't really chat that much and then you just meet up to see what's the vibe. And it's casual, like you just meet up, see the vibe. If it's the
Mm,
vibe, then you keep talking. If not, then you leave. It's all, you know. But
mm,
then in China, I noticed that people really do like they chat for days before they
mm-hmm.
start to meet up. Anyway, with this guy, we finally met up and we met at a bar. And then he was like, I sent him like a bar location, be like, yo, let's meet here. And then he's like, wait, why don't we just walk and drink for our first meetup? And I'm like, the fuck, I'm not gonna walk with you in like the middle of the night. I'm like, walk to where? And then he's like,
Okay,
he was
welcome
like,
to D.
yeah, and he was like, no, I'm not really a bar person. I just enjoy like walking and like drink on the side of the road. I'm like, what the fuck? No, that's ghetto. Let's not do that. So he agreed to meet in a bar, and
Hmm.
then in like my profile, I guess a lot of my hair is like up. And then
Hmm.
his first comment was, okay, context is also I got my hair freshly done that day, not for
Hmm.
him. I met
Hmm.
up with him because I got my hair done,
Hmm.
but not for him.
Hmm.
And then I was really feeling myself. I'm like, new hair, slay, new me.
Hmm.
And then he sat down and be like, I thought you would put your hair up. Like, why is your hair down? And I'm like,
Has this
and
man
then,
literally never felt the touch of a woman? Like, are you okay?
and I'm like, wait, uh, well, I got my hair done today. I really liked it. So I have it down. And then he's like, well, can you put it up for me?
Excuse
And then
me?
my podcast status. Hold on. It was a freshly done hair he did not appreciate, and he was being rude, and I already wanted to leave, but I stay out of politeness because it's like, like there's like so much like talking before all of this. I'm like, fuck. And then he was like saying stuff that I cannot recall anything that he said. But as I was like plotting how I'm gonna exit from this situation,
Mm.
I was wearing a pair of jeans and I was crossing my leg under the table and I felt his hand like swept up my jeans and started feeling my legs out of nowhere. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I can feel that you shaved your legs like 2 days ago. And I was like, wait, what?
What the fuck? Okay, this part of the
I
story you haven't told me.
No, and I was literally wearing like a baggy jeans and like and he fucking made the effort to sweep up my jeans and start feeling me up my legs without asking me.
Oh,
And
so
then it
your
was
bare, so he was actually touching your bare leg, like up long pants.
yeah, long pants, but he just swept it up and start going up and down. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he's like, yeah, you shaved 2 days ago, huh? And then I'm like, okay, I gotta go.
Wait,
That's
so was this guy
dating.
like your age? And what was his like industry?
I have no idea. I did not
Do
try to
not
get to know.
recall.
I really just went to show off my hair, which he didn't appreciate. So,
Yeah, this is why we can't
uh,
rely on male validation. They don't know the difference between navy and black.
mm-mm.
Oh
And
my
then I go home
God.
and people's like, "Why are you not dating?" I'm like, "Well, I did." And then he
Introduce me to someone right now and I'll marry them tomorrow.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The date went so horribly. I feel like anyone would have just been like, oh my God, that was a shit date. Let's just, it didn't work out. It's fine.
Mm.
He kept messaging me
Mhm.
and I did not reply. And then a few days later, he's like, can you remind me your name again? I'm like,
What?
what do you mean? It's literally written in
Right?
my WeChat name. But I think he did it just out to get my attention and not to like,
Did you
oh, it's my
reply?
dating. I did actually. He got he got what he wanted, but I was really just like, wait, what? He was messaging me a lot about like, oh, how's your day? Like, do you want to meet again? I did not reply, and he's like, what's your name, by the way? And then that really worked. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Yeah.
Oh my God. And then what about the guy that left you that unhinged voice memo?
Yes. So mail number two,
Mhm.
Mel B, Exhibit B, with expat was there's this guy that I talked to very briefly online, only I've never met him in person.
Mhm.
And I talked to him maybe let's say around I don't know, like June,
Mhm.
and it never went anywhere. So I'm like, okay, fine. That's chill.
Mhm.
I don't really like him that much anyway.
Literally don't even
Um,
know him.
no, don't even know him. And then a week before we were going to meet that crush
Mhm.
that was previously mentioned, like the crush of my life, like the man
Mhm.
of my dream.
Like I had a whole
I
note in my phone dedicated to Sandy's
hmm
crush.
like everyone around me knew that he's like the man of my dream. The
Mhm.
week before I would be in the same city as him. I got a message from this expat guy, 50-second voice note, and it's been 3 months since I talked to him. And he sent me a really long note and be like, "Hey, Sandy, I think it's best if we call it off. I'm really so sorry. I'm not in a good mental headspace right now. I'm dealing with a lot. I'm going through with a lot of stuff in life. I'm really sorry. You must be so pissed."
Yeah, the assumption, like, I'm sure you've been wondering, like,
Yeah, he was like, "I'm sure you've been wondering what I'm up to, what's going on, why am I not replying to you?" And I'm like,
huh?
bruh, when I got the message, I was genuinely like, what the fuck? Who is this person? Like I have to look at our chat history to find out why is like,
This person even messaging you to begin with.
yeah, I'm like, who is this person? I don't remember a fucking Jason or something.
Was there a
I know.
text? Was there like text with the voice memo, or it was just the voice memo raw?
I think it was a just voice memo. He sent me like four, maybe, and all of them he sounds very, very sad and
Mm.
depressed. And I was genuinely like, bro, are you okay? What?
Oh my God. Like sometimes when I'm really
Yeah,
bored, I think about downloading a dating app, but then I realize that I would be like spending my free time being exposed to more men. And like I feel like I have enough exposure to men just in my day-to-day life. Does it get better if I'm
yeah,
online or not?
no, no.
Maybe when the weather's
I
better.
Yeah, and I also just feel like I don't know, like I would love to hear someone's like successful dating app story.
Mm.
I've been on a lot and I've talked to plenty of people. It's just not, no.
Yeah, I believe in their utility and I support anyone that's managed to bag a or experience a healthy relationship as a result of a dating app. But I feel like if I'm not already gravitating towards that experience, then I'm just going to continue being toxic and delusional. I'm waiting to do my dating app opinions episode soon. So I have feedback already from listeners, which I will incorporate. But I mean, I have a friend who's like getting, I don't know if she's also paying for these trips or if it's just her boyfriend paying. I hope it's just him paying. But I feel like she's traveled like halfway around the world with her boyfriend that she met on dating apps, even though she told me she was going to spend this year being single.
See, that's what I mean. Like, if you men are so disappointing IRL, why don't you just create an illusion
Yeah. It's like
and
easier
fulfill
and
your
more
little fantasy?
it's easier and more fun to just make it up in your head than to deal with reality.
Yeah,
But
in a hindsight, I wish I didn't meet up with my crush, like the love of my life. Um, because then I would still have a crush, and now I literally don't even care about anything that he has to put out. I'm just like,
literally.
please, just no,
And now we
leave
need a
me
new
alone.
crush. I can't even get
We
a
need.
new crush.
I was really sad after meeting up with him because I lost a crush. Not because like it didn't go well or anything. I just lost a crush and it's disappointing.
Literally us, like, we're not even trying to make a relationship happen. We're just trying to make like a fantasy.
A crush happened.
If we can't even get that to work, I'm not exactly sure how a relationship is going to go down for me. Like the fuck?
We're really each other's enabler. Like we're pretty bad at. It's not a lot of non-toxic energy over here.
But men should be grateful. we're leaving them alone.
Exactly. This is what we talked about. I think it's completely true. When you're hot, you don't really need to develop your personality.
Mm.
And that's the case that I encounter with a lot of quote unquote hot people, is that they are so hot in the first glance, but then once you start talking to them or getting to know them, you find out they actually have no thoughts. Just
Below the
completely
surface
blank.
is more surface. But I'm not even talking about like hot as in just like physically hot, like hot vibe. Does that exist?
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, we have met a lot of hot people and like male models. Unfortunately, they're all riskless and literally like they're like you ask them what they do in their free time and they're like sleep.
Right? I'm sure you meet a lot of them too on set,
Yeah.
or I don't know, when you're like doing gigs.
Yeah.
You probably meet some people that's like, oh, considerably more
Attractive.
attractive. And then you really get to know them and see what they do, and then they're just like, oh, I don't really do anything.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is also like I actually really enjoy being single. Even today, my friend messaged me about like sending me product for seeding or something. And then she's a lesbian, Chinese gay. And she like mentioned her girlfriend. And like the last time I'd spoken to her ages ago, she was still single, but she said like, oh, they dated previously and then like they're back together or something. And I was like, okay, cute. And then she was like asking me if I'm dating anyone. And I was like, if you know any hot guys, like recommend. She was like, what's your type? And I was like, do you know anyone that has money? I was like, as long as they're not broke. She was like, as long as they're not broke. And she was like, well, if a lot of people that have money are also stingy. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want to date that badly right now. So I'll be looking forward to whatever
No,
you're sending me.
here's the thing with the whole like broke men, blah blah blah. Because I know I used to be one that's like, um, never count on a man, always work hard for what you want for
Mm,
yourself. I
mm.
still stand so much behind it, but now I'm understanding more because I used to be like, oh, I don't really care. I just really need to like that person. I just, love
Personality is
is
enough.
yeah. But now I'm realizing there's actually another narrative to it that no one told me when I was young. Because when I was young, everyone just told me like never rely on a man. But
Mm.
now I'm realizing like I have worked so hard in my life. I have a lot of the things that I want for myself. I live a pretty good life. I just need the man to not be broke and like
Be nice.
match.
I used to think that money wasn't that important in relationships, and it was just like about the vibes, like if we get along, if we have things in common, blah, 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 that's enough. But as I've gotten older, for me personally, now that I'm like making my own money, living my best life, broke mentality is a huge ick because unfortunately it's like most dudes that have a broke mentality are broke or dudes that are broke have a broke mentality. And it's not even about like how much money they make on paper, it's how they feel about how much money they make in relation to how they see you and how much money you either are making or how much money they think you make or how much money they think you could make. And then like they're always doing like little calculations in their head, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree because I used to be, I feel like, yeah, with everyone just telling you to be independent growing up, never rely on a man. Love is more important than the material things. I feel like that all, like that's how we grew up, or that's how I grew up at least.
Mm.
And then with my first boyfriend, I don't know if it's true, it's just a theory. With my first boyfriend, I think we were in college actually. But I was still way more accomplished than him. I went to a really good school compared to him barely being able to go to a college. Like he barely got into a university while I
Mm,
was going to like the top school in the country.
mm,
And I was already like working for someone that would let me travel the world and meet all kinds of people. And he was still like sort of struggling and like getting by day to day. I just remember on our anniversary, what did he take me to do? He took me to do something that's like super special and something that I really wanted to do for a long time. But then he literally told me right before we go, I was like, I spent all my money on this activity. Like after this, I have maybe $100 in my bank account. And I was like, what the fuck? I cannot like what am I supposed to do at that moment? Like, I cannot let you just go broke and not even be able to like have lunch for the next week just for me to like do something that I really want.
mm.
Like, I really appreciate what he tried to do, but then I could have paid for the whole thing and still have lunch money. That's the moment that I was like, you know what? I don't
Then
need the guy to be super wealthy. I think the whole gold digger narrative is like not that fair to girls that work. Like I'm sure there's gold digger out there, which
I support fully.
yeah, which I support very much fully. Like, go do your thing, girl. But then at the
Mm.
same time, the whole gold digger narrative is also maybe from like just broke men not being able to match up with the girls' lifestyles.
That's a
You know what
hundred
I'm saying?
percent what it is because men are the original gold diggers. Like they look to women for free labor, free sex, free like domestic labor, emotional labor, sexual labor, everything. Like the least that a woman can do is feel stable in her situation by being with this man and not be in a worse position than she was before she dated him because it's a patriarchy. You're already disadvantaged as a woman. Then on top of that, you have to work. Okay, you've worked 10 times harder than the average man in your field to get to where you're at, maybe even like out earn men or like outdo men. And then now you're also expected to subsidize a man's life. Like, I don't understand. And honestly, the number of successful women that I've heard who are like subsidizing their relationships with dudes, it doesn't make any sense. I'm over it.
No,
And you
no,
said it
no,
so
no.
well one time when you were like, I just want to be able to go on vacation with a guy and not have to choose a shitter hotel than I would choose if I was paying for it myself.
Yeah, like if I were to go on this vacation by myself, I would have been completely, like five-star hotel,
Hmm.
like just doing whatever that I want to do. But if I go on a vacation with someone that's like not doing as, you know, I then it's like, well, do I pick this hotel that I really wanted to stay at? I can afford, but he cannot afford. Like, do I
Mm,
pay for him or do I
mm,
make him pay for something that's out of it? Like it's
mm.
all the I know.
One of my friends told me like she's like an established DJ and she was dating a guy who was also a DJ but not as established as her and she was like flying him around to her gigs that she was getting booked. Oh my God, no.
Yeah, no. And I feel like at the end, our relationship ended with him cheating on someone that's like way younger
Mm.
and way someone that's way younger and like has not,
Easily impressed
um,
by his
yeah, yeah, yeah,
wokeness.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I really think that was a reason why our relationship didn't end well. Is because he was like a little bit feeling threatened, not threatened. Maybe he was not feeling that secure about where I was at versus where he was at. So then he went on
Mm.
and cheated on me with someone
Hmm.
that's like so young and has never done anything,
Hmm.
that would be so easily impressed.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like a tale as old as time. I think like like when I was younger and I felt like less secure in my self and maybe like what I was doing, I feel like I was a target for men that were broke but able to pretend that they weren't, or were able to like maybe they at first glance like assumed that I was not how I actually am, maybe. So they were like able to finesse, and I was easily convinced by sweet nothings. But then as I've gotten like more confident and I feel like more established, I get hit up less by broke dudes, which is good. At first, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, if I meet a guy who's like maybe less established than me, and we get along really well. And then he's like not coming on to me. But then the way that they talk about other girls and how they're like, oh, well, she looks like she'd be really expensive or like blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, I can't afford like this and that. I'm like, you know what? It's good that you don't even dare.
Remember, remember what my friend said? I have this really good friend.
This is another great dating app story that was literally low-key unhinged.
I'm not gonna go into the details because I feel like that how we met is a little bit less important. But we
Mm,
ended up being really good friends. Me and him are similar in age,
mm.
and Amber has met him
But very
um
briefly, I think.
super briefly.
Yeah.
And I love him as a friend, but then he's not really like the best mm, boyfriend from everything that I've heard. And he literally said to me
Heard from
like,
his mouth
"Oh,
also.
yeah,
Didn't even have to research.
yeah, no, no, we're not researching men that we don't
Yeah.
we don't have a no, but he was literally like he met Amber and then next day I saw him again and he was like, you know what? Like I actually think for someone my age, I really would love to settle down and date someone that's mature and has it together. I think that's what I need. However, I am so I'm not in like the best place in life, so I could never date a girl like you or Amber because you guys can just see right through my bullshit immediately.
But literally, sometimes it's like I would take a little bit of bullshit just for a thrill at this point, like let me be delusional. But then it's also like I just can't afford it. Like if a
No,
man,
no, no. But it's like never been so clear to me that men are shit to someone and they are fully aware of it. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? Like
mm,
I sometimes hear story about girls stuck in like a horrible relationship or their partner not treating them that well. I just want to offer another perspective that the men fully know what they're doing and
mm-hmm.
they know that you will not push back to their shit behavior and that's why they keep pushing it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
you.
yeah. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
The male collective
yeah,
consciousness is not as fractured as women's because there's been no like male, there's been nothing to catalyze men doing better as a collective, the way that women have been like, there's been such big changes in women's mentalities based on whether they've been affected by like women's rights. And for men, it's like
yeah.
I always say, if you want to know, if you want to get into the mind of the man that you're seeing, just ask literally any random dude what their opinion is. And it will be like exactly what this guy's doing to you. Even that doesn't mean that the guy that's telling it to you is like self-aware about himself. Okay. Because I used to make that mistake. I used to think that men that could tell on other men could do better themselves. And then I would believe that like if I got involved with them, they would treat me better. But it's like never assume that. Would just assume that any man's read on another man is most likely accurate. They'll predict what the guy's
Yeah,
going to
no,
do with almost 100%
he
accuracy.
was he was so transparent to me that, oh, I did XYZ to my girlfriend is really not that nice. But don't worry, I'll never do that to you because I know that you'll never accept that kind of behavior.
Yeah, like they're
Um,
subconsciously testing boundaries to see what they can get away with and making calculations. And if they calculate that you're someone that they can't get away with it with, that's why they're not making moves. And you should just take that as it is. Do not chase after
yes.
a man, even if you're attracted to him, even if you guys get along, if he's not coming after you, because the fact that he's not coming after you is a sign that he knows better and you need to know better too.
Correct. They know what they're doing. Do not ever lower your standard for someone. Yeah, you share it together.
Yeah, do we have any other final remarks that we want to make? Basically, just live your
Um,
life. Don't date a man who indicates, like, if a guy ever says to you that he's shook that you ever even considered him as an option, which I've had men say to me before, or they're like, they say like, oh yeah, but like one day you're going to be doing this and that, and then like just leave.
yeah.
They're already self-sabotaging. They're already like looking for ways to try to get away with making you feel bad for wanting the best for yourself, and you should never feel bad about that. And a man, never let
No,
a man get in the way of your sleigh, period.
yeah, that's true. My final remark is if, yeah, do not ever lower your standard. Do not ever, they know fully what they're doing. And if you really need that, if you really need that satisfaction of a romantic relationship or whatever, just make up your own narrative.
Yeah, or get into K-pop
And
and
yeah,
project on into an idol.
don't meet up with them. Don't try to get to know them. You'll just be disappointed.
Yeah, like honestly, the less male attention that you get as a woman, the better your life probably is. Because I think about like when I was at the like in my early 20s, when I was getting like my DMs were full, I was getting like married dudes hitting me up and shit. That's when I was like not fully aware of how I wasn't presenting as like someone that was fully secure in herself. And now that I've gotten older, like so many people say, like, if you're not getting attention from dudes and you're like living your life and you're happy, enjoy it. Like, feel, I just feel like if I don't embrace being single and I settle, I can't even imagine doing that right now. Like, when people are like, just give him a chance, I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't. I can't. Like, even the guys that hit me up now, I'm like, my day would have been better not hearing from you.
Yeah, I guess also just don't rush the process if you're not feeling it completely. I
Don't feel like
think,
you're not valid if you're not in a relationship because there's so much more to life than the attention of men.
yes. And you also find new things that you actually appreciate in a partner. You know what I mean? Like when
Mm,
I'm younger, the qualities that I appreciate is so different than the qualities that I appreciate now.
mm. I think
Um,
also like when you learn to be consistent with yourself and your self-care, like making commitments to like certain things in your life, you become like less tolerant of people that are not consistent with you. At least that's how
yeah.
I feel. Because like these guys that are like so flaky or whatever, maybe I would have been more tolerant when I was younger, but now I'm literally like, bruh, you can't even set a date.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I think before I would get into
No,
like a
for sure.
texting back and forth with dudes like just for fun. And now I'm literally like, cool, if you're coming to the city that I live in, if we're going to be in the same place, like figure it out. And I'll see you if I see you. If I don't, I literally don't care.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, I've been in situations with dudes when I was younger where they would message me like every day. and never ask me out. And now I'm like, if we speak like 3 times and you haven't organized something, I've lost interest.
No.
Riz
No, for
less.
sure. For sure. Like after all my experience with all the love of my life, the hottest man alive, blah 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 blah, and the like, I feel like I now appreciate something that completely different than what I liked back then. I think it's
Mm,
good that if I had been in a relationship with any of the guy that I thought is like, oh, I need to marry them, then I wouldn't really like have this new, I wouldn't be able to see what I actually really like versus
mm.
um the facade. So
Yeah,
I
like you
think
don't,
just be patient.
yeah, you don't want your type to stay the same because that means you're just dating the same type of dude and flopping every time. Like you haven't learned a lesson. You
Yeah,
need
no.
to flop out of a type into your next slave phase and into the next type, next toxic dynamic. I'm waiting. Who will it be?
We need someone that's worthy of our FBI skills. Like who will take
Literally.
it? Um,
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, anyone out there that lives in a city where men have Riz, let us know. Riz and money. Maybe
Let us
Dubai.
know.
I can't even
No,
be bothered.
I I have a really traumatizing childhood story. Maybe this
Mhm.
can be off the record, but I'm just gonna share it.
Okay.
I used to go to the Middle East a lot. Um, and I was like literally like 12, and I had a huge crush on this guy that's like a Middle Eastern rich man. That's like a full adult, and then he would take me anywhere. He would
Oh,
take me to like the playground and drive me around and like show me the city.
I think that was just like
That
a
was
substitute, like father figure.
that, but yes, my experience with Middle Eastern guy, not it. My verdict is no.
Okay, well, um,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for tuning in. Let us know what you thought about this episode if you want Sandy to be a guest again. Unfortunately, but fortunately, like our lives are relatively drama free. Like it's great that we don't have any tea, but it also sucks that we don't have any tea. Like to get to a point where it's like, oh, we're just enjoying our life. The only thing we can complain about is work, but like work is something that you can always complain about.
No, I didn't even dive into my FBI skills.
Yeah, you
Maybe for
didn't.
next time.
Is there anything you want to elaborate on? I can add it in. I
It's
gave you
so
the
random.
in. You didn't elaborate earlier when I was like, tell me,
Can you
tell
cut
us.
it? Can you
Yeah.
cut it back?
Yes.
I don't know. My FBI. Uh,
I mean, I can't even remember what you told
um,
me, but I just remember being impressed.
okay, so this is an episode for the crazy girlies out there. I never feel validated, but I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Mm,
Is how my first relationship was really toxic and bad because um you know what? In the hindsight, I think he was the one being shitty and created less trust in the relationship. But I was also kind of crazy because I was so insecure about myself
mm,
and also about him. So
mm,
if I were to redo the whole thing, I would not have acted the same way because now I would know that my time is worth way more than being investigated in whatever that he was doing.
mm,
Um, but whoever that's going through it,
Hmm.
I think you just need to get through it
Hmm.
to get to the realization. Whoever that was getting through it, I okay, so his tip number one is that Google Map actually you can see all their key locations. If
Hmm.
you somehow, like my ex-boyfriend logged into his Gmail to check some work messages. And then from that, I got into his Google Map history. And from that, I saw like the frequent location that he was at for the
Hmm.
past few weeks. And then from that, I was like, I drove by wherever that he was at and found out that he was actually at a girl's house.
Hmm.
And then turned out that he was cheating on me for a while. And then I screamed and yelled in the middle of the night at that location. That was episode one.
Hmm.
And then episode two was when Snapchat used to be a thing. And
Hmm.
then he would reply, he would take a long time to reply to his Snapchat. Or when you used to open your Snapchat, you can see that someone had opened it.
Hmm.
So then he would take a really long time to open my Snapchat.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really suspicious. And
Hmm.
then I went on his phone one
Because
night.
wait, because like when you first started seeing each other, he was like more on top of it, do you think? Like because
No, this was already like maybe 2 years into the relationship, and there's already been a lot of on and offs.
okay.
But I just know, like at
Hmm.
that,
Woman's intuition.
yeah, during that time, anyone opened their Snapchat like immediately.
Mm.
Um, Phone screen time was not a thing yet.
Hmm.
So we were on our phones like 24/7. So anyone would open Snapchat immediately, and he was taking his a really long time to open my Snapchat, and that's when we just got back together.
Hmm.
And and then I thought that was really suspicious, even though he would tell me, oh, I was at work, I couldn't really look at my phone, blah blah blah. I found out he actually had a second Snapchat account where he's texting girls, like a bunch of different girls.
What?
And girls were sending him nudes on that second Snapchat account. So I was
What?
logged in. I hope he never listened to this because I feel like to this day he still doesn't know what happened. Uh, so girls were sending him nudes on that account. And I was logged into that account because men only use the same password for everything.
Mhm.
And I logged in and I was the one getting all the nudes. And then I started talking to the girls, um, pretending to be them.
Pretending to be
And
him.
yeah, I was pretending to be him. And the girls were all like, wait, something changed. I don't know what happened. Um, And then I threatened one of the girls to give me her Snapchat account because actually maybe this is really bad. Now that I think about it, it's really bad. But I had her nude because I was the one that had her nude. I was like, if you don't send me your Snapchat login right now, I'll send your nudes to everyone.
Oh my
So he
God.
gave she gave me her Snapchat account, and then I talked to my then boyfriend
Through it.
to threaten him. I And then he was like, wait, why is this girl suddenly talking to me in like such a
Aggressive
not
way.
positive, yeah, in such an aggressive way?
What happened to the
It's
nudes,
not the
girl?
girl. Yeah, it's not the girl that I know. And then he was like kind of arguing with that girl, which is me on Snapchat. And then that night, the same night, I got messages from my ex-boyfriend be like, "Oh my God, I miss you so much. Can we just meet? I really want to see you." Um, and in my head, I'm like, well, that's because the other girl totally blew you off, which is
Hmm.
also me. Um, but that's the worst part. I got those messages and I thought I succeeded in
Mm,
the game that I'm trying to play because I was so desperate in getting his attention and I was so insecure about myself. I need to first bring another girl down
mm,
about sending nudes, which not cool. Like send nudes to whoever you want. And two, I got satisfaction from him coming back to me because he blew things up with another girl.
mm,
I think that's really just like a horrible moment for myself.
mm. But you've grown, and what we've learnt is I personally don't think that we should be sending nudes. No men deserve nudes or like fully nudes. You can have suggestive images, but you don't know which like ex-girlfriend is logging into their iMessage now. Also, yeah, sometimes the only way out is through. Yeah, you realized people weren't really like you saved that girl from your shitty ex-boyfriend. You realized that you were better than him or you deserve better in the end anyway. So a slay is a slay, if you ask me.
Yeah, I I I do know people that's still in a toxic relationship, and in my personal opinion, coming out of a really, 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 really toxic one, you just really need to go through it. And one day you'll see some clarity and realize you're batshit crazy.
Mm. Hopefully, rock bottom reaches you soon.
No, this is really bad. Like, I, for context, I was 21
Mm.
and it's my first relationship, and I have hella daddy issue.
Yeah, like
Um,
I just saw a TikTok the other day, which is very similar to your story, and this girl saying that she had a crush and like but he had a girlfriend. So she created a Tinder account with the girlfriend's pictures and used it to like match with people and then talk to people as if she's the girl. And then the boyfriend finds out and like consoles in the girl and is like, yeah, my girlfriend apparently is on Tinder, like talking to people. And then she like consoles him. He breaks up with the girlfriend and then she starts dating her crush.
oh my God, that's horrible, but it's something that I would have done like years ago.
Yeah, I mean, she
It's,
said she was like, this was ages ago. He doesn't know. But yeah.
yeah, my ex-boyfriend also still doesn't know till today what I have done.
Well, that's because they're
It
just
didn't,
not as smart. Catch up.
no, it just didn't work out anyway. It it ended bad. That relationship really ended badly for a whole different reason. So don't don't try to save something that's not right.
Yeah, like if you like the energy that Sandy puts, like sometimes in relationships, in toxic relationships especially, your divine feminine energy, your skills that are supposed to be applied elsewhere for productive means, like skills that could make you money. Like Sandy's skill at FBI investigation serves her very well in her actual full-time job, which pays her money, which allows her to go on nice holidays whenever she pleases. Like that is such a better application of that energy than into a toxic relationship. But if you are still like in an insecure place, or you still like rely on the validation of men, it will trick you into wasting your energy on trying to save something that doesn't need to be saved.
Yeah.
Like as soon as
And
I find myself like doing FBI investigations with someone who I thought that I was like had a genuine connection with, I already know that it's the beginning of the end.
no, like that's completely true. And circling back to the first point, when I was doing all these like crazy batshit, like crazy girlfriend behavior, he was pretty much my priority in life.
Mm,
And now, like what we talked about in the beginning about pole, it's like if I had something else going on, I wouldn't have spent my energy on that.
mm,
And now, if I hear people stuck in a toxic relationship or in a toxic behavior, I just like go outside.
mm,
It sounds like I'm playing it off. I know it's so complicated and
mm.
intricate in a toxic relationship, but really just going outside, do something for yourself is
Yeah.
might be the solution to all of that.
Yeah, because society tries so hard to detach women from being able to connect with themselves in like genuine and wholesome ways that aren't just about like consumerism and like buying things and thinking that if you just like buy enough things that you'll be good enough. But when you actually like physically do something and you like exercise energy towards a skill, it's like such like a crazy subconscious conscious transformation that happens because it was always when I was too
Right?
bored that I was like making excuses for men that I didn't need to be making. But then as soon as I got busy again and got interested in my life, it's like you're not only more attractive to men and to yourself, like you also have higher standards, like it's win-win.
Right?
Yeah. Because it's easy to give
Yeah.
up the things that made you who you are when you get too comfortable with a guy. But what they won't tell you is like being a little bit out of reach is what keeps them interested. So you never
Yeah.
lose when you focus on yourself, ladies. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Also, being in a not like a toxic relationship just takes so much headspace
Yeah.
of yourself. It's so easy to just spend all your energy into it. I think that's an easy way out to like um excuse yourself from trying to like get yourself out of that relationship or like make some
Yeah.
efforts towards something that's not related to the partner.
Yeah. 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 It's so easy to deflect and be like, oh, it's like so hard because I'm in this relationship for me to do the things that I really care about. But you were not born to be ugly or have a bad time or waste your energy on a man who makes you cry and throw up every day. You know, being hot and having fun really is the answer.
Yeah, it's way easier to stalk the girl that he's talking to 50 times and know everything about her than to take a step back and examine the relationship
Mm,
and make progress toward yourself.
yeah.
That's my big realization.
Slay. Yeah, because like you can't put a relationship on your resume, and we live in a capitalist society. And even as a woman, like you could date a guy who's good to you for now and then fuck your life up if you don't prioritize yourself. Now you're 5 steps behind where you were when you met him, before you met him. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're going to be stuck with you whether or not your relationship works out. I hope that your relationship does work out and we all find love, but you got to be prepared. These dusties
Yes.
have no bounds. So Don't ever let someone make you feel like having standards as a woman is a bad thing because you never lose. Either your standards are high enough that you attract someone who respects that and can facilitate the slay. You can be hot and have fun together, or you just stay hot and having fun with your friends, living your best life unbothered by crusty men.
Exactly.
You sleep peacefully at
Exactly.
night. Never,
Exactly.
never settle.
No.
And if you do settle, remember who you are and set the bar back where it needs to be.
I don't know. Like, I feel like, no.
Also, just recognize that like
Oh,
being healthy or like having like a healthy relationship with yourself and life can sometimes be boring. Like sometimes you get addicted to the drama of like the roller coaster of feeling like you have a problem because you're like dealing with this guy. And then when you're out of that, you're just like, damn, now it really just is chilling.
overall, I feel like it's just remember whatever state you're at, single, in a happy relationship, in a toxic relationship, even though you've settled or you actually are so happy about your relation, like any state, always prioritize yourself first.
Yeah.
I think that's
Remember,
a win.
yeah. The longest relationship you'll have in this life is the one you have with yourself. So make sure you take time to work on that.
Yeah, and the right partner should support you
Mm.
in always prioritizing yourself. No?
Yes. Oh my God. Anytime a guy's like, oh, you're gonna like do that, like, why are you doing that? I'm like, goodbye. Why don't you want to hang out with
In
me? Why don't you go play with yourself?
in Chinese, there's a slang saying 自我感动. How do you explain that in English? 自我感动 is like when you do something that only touches yourself, or you're the only one that's impressed by yourself.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
mm.
Like you're only doing things to make yourself feel touched or
For your own
inspire or
fulfillment.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 自我感动.
Yeah.
And my friend the other day, I was on the phone with my friend saying that we were talking about something else, non-relationship related, but she's like, do you think I'm just doing these things as 自我感动? Am I the only one that's like feeling inspired from all of this? In my head, I just feel like I told her that, you know what? I feel like if you can inspire yourself and you feel fulfilled from what you just did, even though no one else care, that's already a slay.
That is the best slay.
Because 自我感动 is a bit looked down upon in like the internet world.
Mm,
It's usually used in situation where people did something only like selfishly.
mm.
But I think also another layer of it is like if you can keep yourself happy, you feel fulfilled, you feel inspired by yourself, that's great.
Yeah, that's reason enough to keep doing it for sure. Because
Yeah.
like I remember when I first started doing pole, I was like trying to get people to come to the class with me so I'd have someone to go with. And then all these bitches are so flaky. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna go myself. And I enjoyed it enough to just keep going. And I like connected with people in my class anyway, because we're just there to like have a good time and learn. And then all the people, like even if people like had something to say, like, oh, like you're going to class, I don't give a fuck. And then now they want to come too. Well, it's too late because I'm ahead of you, so I can't even go to the same class as you anymore. And now what are they doing? So,
Yeah. Who are
yeah,
those people? That's horrible. No, I'm really happy I tried that you got me into that world.
like, yeah, there's always value in the attempt, I think, even if it's like not. a perfect outcome, like especially when you do something like pole, because everyone kind of has to start from beginner level, even if you are like really strong, even if you are really flexible, like there's just this learning curve that everybody goes through. So no one's going to judge you for like not being able to get it because we've all been there at some point anyway. So it's a very supportive environment, I feel. Not competitive and bitchy at all, like you would assume from like the aesthetic of it sometimes. So that's what I really appreciate about it. But yeah, focus on the sleigh.
I think just being in that, yeah, just being in that space is already like amazing.
Yeah.
When I do pole, I take it as a win if I'm just there.
Yeah, like
If
we
I
suffer,
accomplish
but
nothing.
no, so many things are accomplished just in an hour of like general suffering, but also like it's fun. Who would have thought?
I have
Who would have thought
bruises
getting,
on my knees.
yeah, who would have thought getting like making like hard physical contact with a steel pole would be the
You know what?
answer to my insecurities.
I do have a question for people. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know, the listeners.
Hmm.
That one is my relation, like all the stuff that I described before is obviously very toxic. I don't encourage it. But back then, I feel like girls support girls is not as strong as a concept right now. You know what
Mm.
I mean? Like
Hmm.
now, I'm kind of curious if when people are dealing with like like their boyfriend cheating or whatever,
Mm.
maybe they have a completely different mindset. Because I personally feel like if my boyfriend now would be cheating, I wouldn't really like take it on to the girl, but more the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Hmm.
Like, is it, I don't know, people in relationships can
I think people
would
are
love their
definitely
insight.
I think people are definitely starting to shift accountability onto men now. Like it looks like blame. Of course, it looks like blame when you're trying to hold a group of people accountable for things that they've never had to answer to before. But generally, I think now it's like when people talk about a man being unfaithful, they recognize that it is more to do with the man than it is about like the worth or the value of any woman, whether it's like the girlfriend or the other woman. But I think on an individual level, it's still really easy for girls to like subconsciously get caught up in competing with another woman for a guy's attention if they're really attached to the guy. It depends, I think, in general. Uh, I would say like I am a girl's girl, in spite of the fact that some of my worst heartbreaks have been in friendships with women, but I would still respect a woman just by virtue of her being a woman, even if I don't know her, even if she hates me over settling for a guy who's being disrespectful. Like I've been in situations with dudes that have tried to like triangulate me with someone else that they're seeing or something by being like, oh, like they compare you to her or they talk down on the other girl in order to try to like cozy up to you. I have no tolerance for that because male attention is too cheap. And I don't care to be compared to another woman for a man to feel good about himself. Sorry.
Right? I really
It's
regret.
meaningless.
No, I really regret targeting. No, I genuinely, I'm laughing right now because I had too much vodka. No, but I genuinely regret targeting the girl because she was clueless of
Mm,
all the guy's fault.
Mm.
Um, I wish I can redo that, but yeah,
Live, laugh,
I don't
love.
know. No, no, but it might be hard if I'm still in that situation. If I face the same situation now, I would probably still like it's sort of hard for me to just be so clear-headed and be like,
Mm.
if 100% the guy's fault. I don't know. We'll
Mm.
see when I get into a relationship.
Yeah, I think that it's also fine if you feel insecure about it, like in the moment. Like, don't, for anyone that's like in a situation like what Sandy has described, like you're justified in how you feel and in the urge to like compare yourself to the girl and wonder or compete with her. But ultimately, it's like, I feel like when you choose to honor yourself and like collective woman, that is way better than pandering to a man long term. Like it will affect you. It's just better karma, basically. And
Yeah.
everyone's karma is their personality, and know that that man will suffer, but you need to leave him.
Period.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. If you would like Sandy to come back on, hopefully something interesting happens in our lives so we have more to talk about. Make sure to follow me on all the things, subscribe to the podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify at Amber Killer, Instagram meme page at friend.crush. Make sure to drink lots of water, tell your friends and family you love them. Stay hot and having fun. Love you.
Wait, vodka update.
Oh, cool.
It's empty.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, look, the hearts.
Where's mine?